Hey, what's up? Welcome back. It's Jax with Cultivate Your Power, and today I want to make a YouTube video about how to feel comfortable with yourself. It's been a long journey for me practicing to feel comfortable with myself, and I've gone through some notes here on a piece of sandpaper, some things that I think will really help you transition from feeling really insecure into a more authentic version of yourself. And I think the first step is really identifying, who you are and who the facade is. So you need to distinguish who you really are from who people want you to be, so you can fit in with everybody. But the point is, and even if you try to fit in with everybody, still not everybody's going to accept you. So you have to know your own, you have to know yourself, you have to know your values, and then you have to stand by them. And you don't need to do it in an apologetic attitude. You don't need to be sorry because, it's like you're created that way for a reason. So that's how I see it. Understand that it's a process. It's not going to happen all at once, but really some things that have helped me is to mostly have that awareness, right? Awareness is really the first step in transitioning from your fake self to your real self. That feeling at peace, right? So it's becoming aware, identifying what it is, and you can identify why it's not congruent or it's fake, and then you can simply release it. I would say how you do this, right, is say you have some insecurity about how your voice sounds or something like that, right? Or maybe, okay, I'll think of an example, right? When you're trying to please people, but you're being incongruent to yourself, you need to cut out the people-pleasing behavior. You need to entirely stop that shit. It's not going to help you. It's not going to serve you. It's going to make people hate you anyway, because nobody likes an inauthentic fake person. Nobody does. Literally, straight up. So I guess an example of a time that I people pleased and I recognized that it was destructive towards myself and it was inauthentic was, I had a wrist injury, right? And I wanted to push carts from my job because that was their expectation of me, right? And I had gone a little while, right? And I kept pushing carts until I knew that I needed to get this taken care of and I needed to let this heal, right? So I went to the doctors. I got my doctor's note. Then I sent it over to my work and all that, right? And then essentially, I was kind of put in a situation where I felt as if I needed to, not let myself heal, and I needed to please them. But the point is, that is inauthentic. You were never going to feel comfortable with yourself if you're being something else. You have to understand that you feel comfortable in your skin because it's your skin. If you jumped in a different person's body, you wouldn't feel comfortable in their skin or their attitude or their mentality or their look at life because it's not yours. So identify your values, identify who you are, and stick by it. So you might say, how do you stick by it, right? So there's, I guess, some techniques I've sort of observed and I've heard, and the ones that I've implemented that have really helped. So the techniques that I feel really help is being comfortable with the feeling of rejection. Like, straight up, like I said, you can even offer like something of value, something straight up amazing, right? Something you're like so happy with, and there will be people that don't like it. There are going to be people that don't like this video, and I'm prepared for that. I'm okay. I'm knowing this, and I'm speaking to people. I'm doing this in public. There might even be some people that think I'm weird for this, but I did that to add the point that you can feel comfortable in yourself despite the circumstances. You can identify what it is, you say, oh, maybe I'm worried about what that person thinks, or maybe I'm worried about that person thinks. You simply observe it and you let it go. So the thing with letting go is it's really like interconnected with your physical body. So whenever you experience thoughts of anxiety, they're going to translate into, the neurochemistry is going to affect your physiology, and your body is going to be pumping cortisol and adrenaline, right? And you're going to be in a contracted space. You're going to be in fear. You're going to be in stress and tension, The only way to move past that stress and tension is you simply need to expand, let it go. You need to recognize what it is. Okay, it's that thing. It's maybe that person's approval, or maybe it's I have some insecurity and I want to come off a certain type of way, or maybe it's just aspects of yourself that you haven't realized yet, you haven't connected with, and you haven't owned. You haven't really stepped into your power. You haven't really. It's an uncomfortable feeling to own it, because usually when we grow up, we're not taught to be powerful people. We're not taught to be self-empowered. And that really leads into the next point here I got, is self-validation as opposed to seeking external validation. You need to have an internal locus of validation, because if you're seeking from the outside, you're always going to have a dependency. It's an unhealthy codependency, and it's a psychological, So when it's there, you feel good, but when it's not, you don't. And you think about it, you have no stable sense of self. You have no stable sense of self and who you are when you're always seeking for something else from someone else or from some other set of circumstances. So you cannot do that. So that's another point I've got to add. Let me, scratch through my little notes here. Another point I want to, I went through embracing the feeling, right? Really sitting with it, having just being like, all right, being present. You can experience that rejection, but you just simply sit with it. You don't run from it. You just soak it in. You just allow it in, but you don't allow it to affect your conception of yourself. But you allow the emotion to sit there, and you become comfortable with the emotion. It's just the same as taking a cold shower and just sitting there and being like, yeah, I'm alright, this kind of sucks, hey, it's alright, and then sometimes you even find the enjoyment in it. Sometimes you're like, wow, this cold feels really nice, right? And when you really embrace that feeling, right, that discomfort, you'll also find that, wow, sometimes you can actually find comfort in that discomfort because you're expanding your comfort zone. That's exactly the thing right there. So it's all about letting go. It's not about forcing yourself in any way. And our video is about to end because my phone capacity. So I'm going to wrap it up with, I guess I've actually got through all my points. So be willing, last point here is be willing to lose. But also understand that you're not actually losing, because when you're representing your authentic self, you cannot lose, because the people that will appreciate you for your authentic